There are moments in life when a single insight can shift the entire direction of your path. Not a dramatic event, not a crisis, but a quiet realization that settles into your bones and changes the way you see everything. For Aquarius, this year holds the potential for 10 of those moments. 10 spiritual insights that could reshape the way you approach your relationships, your purpose, your inner peace, and the years that stretch out ahead of you. These are not abstract ideas. They are practical truths, grounded in the specific energy that is moving through your sign right now. And if you are willing to receive them, they could change your year in ways you have not yet imagined. Insight 1. The first spiritual insight is this: you do not need to understand something fully before you trust it. For most of your life, your mind has been your greatest asset. You analyze, you question, you take things apart until you can see how they work. And that process has served you well in countless ways. But there is a different kind of knowing that has been trying to reach you, a knowing that does not come through the mind at all. It arrives through the body, through sudden feelings, through moments of inexplicable certainty that have no logical explanation. This year is asking you to honor that kind of knowing with the same respect you give to intellectual understanding. The spiritual truth here is that not everything valuable can be explained. Some of the most important guidance you will ever receive will come as a whisper, a feeling, a pull in a direction that your rational mind cannot justify. And the more you resist that guidance, waiting for proof or logic before you act, the more you delay the very breakthroughs you are seeking. This does not mean abandoning reason. It means expanding your definition of intelligence to include intuition as a legitimate source of wisdom. You have felt this pull many times throughout your life, moments when something inside you simply knew, even when you could not explain why. This year, instead of dismissing those moments or waiting for confirmation, try following them. Trust the knowing that does not need to be understood in order to be real. This single shift in how you relate to your own inner guidance could open doors that have been closed for years, not because they were locked, but because you were looking for the key in the wrong place. Insight 2. The second insight is that your need for independence has been both your strength and your shield. There is a difference between choosing freedom and using freedom as protection against vulnerability. And this year is inviting you to look honestly at which one you have been doing. An Aquarius values autonomy more than almost any other sign, and that is a beautiful quality. But somewhere along the way, that love of independence may have become a way of keeping people at a safe distance, of ensuring that no one could ever get close enough to truly affect you. The spiritual lesson here is not that you need to become dependent on others. It is that true strength includes the willingness to be seen, to be known, to allow someone into the spaces you have always kept private. This is not weakness. It is the highest form of courage. And the energy of this year is creating opportunities for exactly this kind of opening. If you are willing to let it happen, you may notice people entering your life who seem to bypass your usual defenses, who ask questions that cut through your carefully constructed exterior, who see you in ways that feel both uncomfortable and deeply relieving. These are not accidents. They are invitations to experience a deeper kind of connection, one that does not threaten your independence, but actually enhances it by showing you that you can be fully yourself and fully connected at the same time. Let them in. Not all of them, and not without discernment, but the ones who feel genuinely safe, the ones who do not try to change you but simply want to know you. Those are the ones this year has brought to your doorstep for a reason. Insight 3. The third insight is about the relationship between purpose and patience. You have always felt a sense of mission, a feeling that you are here to contribute something meaningful to the world. And that feeling has driven you through decades of effort, creativity, and service. But this year is revealing something subtle about the nature of purpose. It does not always move at the speed you want it to. Some of the most important things you are here to do require time to unfold, and the impatience you feel when things seem to move slowly is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you care deeply. The spiritual truth is that patience is not passive waiting. It is active trust. It is the decision to keep showing up, keep contributing, keep planting seeds even when you cannot see any evidence of growth. And the paradox is that the moment you truly surrender to this kind of patience, things often begin to accelerate in ways you did not expect. This year you may find yourself in situations where you are asked to wait for an answer, for a result, for a change you have been working toward. And in those moments of waiting, instead of interpreting the delay as a problem, try seeing it as preparation. The universe is not withholding from you. It is arranging the pieces so that when your purpose fully activates, everything is in place for it to have the maximum impact. Your job is not to force the timing. Your job is to remain ready, remain faithful, and remain engaged with the process, even when the process feels unbearably slow. Insight 4. The fourth insight is that the opinions of others have been taking up more space in your mind than you realize. An Aquarius prides itself on being independent-minded, on not caring what the crowd thinks. And on the surface, that is true. You do not follow trends or seek approval in the obvious ways. But underneath that confident exterior, there is often a quieter voice that wonders, am I too much? Am I too different? Am I too far outside the lines to ever truly belong? This year is asking you to confront that voice directly, not to silence it, but to understand where it comes from and to gently release its grip on your choices. The spiritual truth is that the need to belong is not a weakness. It is a fundamental human desire. But the way you try to fulfill that need matters enormously. If you are subtly modifying yourself, dimming your originality, or holding back your most authentic ideas because you fear they will push people away, then you are paying a price that is far too high. This year offers you the chance to discover that the people who are truly meant for you are the ones who are drawn to your full, unedited self. Not the version you present to make others comfortable, but the real you. The one who thinks differently, feels deeply, and refuses to pretend that ordinary is enough. When you stop managing other people's perceptions of you, something remarkable happens. You become magnetic, not to everyone but to the right ones. And those connections, built on your complete authenticity, will be more nourishing than anything you could create through compromise. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Insight 5. The fifth insight is about forgiveness, but not the kind you might expect. This year is not asking you to forgive the people who hurt you, though that may also happen. It is asking you to forgive yourself for the years you spent not knowing what you know now. Every Aquarius carries a mental inventory of decisions they wish they had made differently, moments when they chose fear over faith, times when they stayed silent when they should have spoken, or spoke when they should have listened. That inventory has weight. It creates a quiet heaviness that you carry without always recognizing its presence. The spiritual insight here is that you made every decision with the awareness you had at the time. You cannot retroactively apply today's wisdom to yesterday's choices. And the energy you spend replaying those moments, wishing you had done better, is energy that could be directed toward creating something beautiful right now. Forgiveness of self is not about excusing mistakes. It is about acknowledging that growth is a process, that every wrong turn taught you something essential, and that the person you are today exists precisely because of the path you walked, including the parts you wish had been different. This year, make peace with your history. All of it. The brilliant decisions and the painful ones. The courageous moments and the ones where fear won. They are all part of the same story. And that story has brought you to a place of wisdom that you could not have reached any other way. Let that be enough. Let yourself be enough exactly as you are, with all the scars and lessons and imperfect beautiful chapters that make up the whole of who you have become. Insight 6. The sixth insight is that your body has been speaking to you, and this year it is speaking louder. An Aquarius lives so much in the mind that the body can sometimes feel like an afterthought, a vehicle that carries the brain from place to place rather than an intelligent system with its own wisdom and its own needs. But this year, the energy moving through your sign is bringing a heightened awareness of the physical dimension of your existence. You may notice that certain foods affect your energy differently than they used to. You may feel drawn to movement, to stretching, to spending time outdoors in ways that seem new or unexpected. You may experience aches or tensions that seem to appear and disappear without clear medical explanation. These are not random events. They are your body communicating with you, asking you to pay attention, to slow down, to treat your physical self with the same curiosity and respect you give to your intellectual and spiritual self. The spiritual truth is that the body is not separate from the spirit. It is the spirit in physical form. And when you neglect it, you are neglecting a vital channel through which wisdom, energy, and healing flow. This year, begin a new conversation with your body. Listen to what it tells you about rest, about nourishment, about the environments that support your well-being and the ones that drain it. You do not need to become obsessive about health. You simply need to become present to the reality that your body is not just carrying you through life. It is participating in your spiritual journey in ways that your mind cannot fully comprehend. Honor that participation, respond to it, and watch how your overall sense of vitality and clarity improves when you finally treat your body as the partner it has always been. Insight 7. The 7th insight is about the power of letting go of outcomes. You are someone who cares deeply about making a difference, about creating impact, about leaving the world slightly better than you found it. And that caring is one of your most admirable qualities. But this year is teaching you that attachment to specific outcomes can actually block the very impact you are trying to create. When you grip too tightly to how something should look, how a conversation should go, how a project should unfold, you close yourself off to possibilities that might be even better than what you originally envisioned. The spiritual lesson is surrender, but not surrender as defeat. Surrender as opening. Surrender as the willingness to do your absolute best, and then release the result to forces larger than yourself. This is particularly challenging for an Aquarius because your mind is always constructing visions of how things could be. You see the ideal version of everything, and you work tirelessly to bring that vision into reality. But sometimes the universe has a version that is different from yours, and learning to trust that version, to let go of control without letting go of commitment, is one of the deepest spiritual practices available to you. This year, practice offering your best effort and then stepping back. Not stepping away, stepping back. Remain engaged, remain caring, remain present. But release the need to determine exactly how everything turns out. You will discover that when you stop trying to control the outcome often exceeds anything you could have planned. Because the energy that was being consumed by your need for control becomes available for creativity, for spontaneity, for the kind of inspired action that happens when a brilliant mind finally learns to dance with the unknown. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Insight 8. The 8th insight concerns the stories you tell yourself about aging. Every person carries a narrative about what it means to grow older, and that narrative shapes their experience far more than most people realize. For an Aquarius, the story is often complicated. On one hand, you feel ageless. Your mind is as active and curious as it has ever been. Your ideas are as fresh, your appetite for learning has not diminished. But on the other hand, you live in a world that constantly tells you that age means decline, that your best contributions are behind you, that you should be winding down rather than gearing up. This year is asking you to consciously choose a different story. Not a story of denial where you pretend that time has no effect, but a story of power where you recognize that the years you have lived have given you something that no amount of youth can replicate: perspective, depth, wisdom, and the freedom that comes from no longer needing to prove yourself to anyone. The spiritual truth is that age is not your enemy, it is your ally. Every year you have lived has added another layer to your understanding, another tool to your collection, another reason to trust yourself completely. And the people who tell you otherwise are speaking from their own fear, not from truth. This year, rewrite the story. Decide that you are not getting older. You are getting closer. Closer to your purpose, closer to your authentic self, closer to the contribution that only someone with your specific combination of experience and insight can make. That story is not just optimistic. It is accurate. And living from that story will change everything about how you experience the months ahead. Insight 9. The 9th insight is that generosity is its own form of spiritual practice. You have always been generous, though you may not always see it that way. Your generosity shows up not just in material giving, but in the way you share your time, your ideas, your attention, and your honest perspective with the people who need it. An Aquarius gives in ways that are often invisible to others. The late-night conversation where you help someone see their situation clearly, the idea you shared that someone else turned into a success, the quiet support you offered during a difficult season without ever expecting recognition. This year is highlighting the spiritual dimension of that generosity. When you give from a genuine place, without attachment to being thanked or acknowledged, you activate a flow of energy that returns to you in forms you cannot predict. This is not a transactional process. It is not about giving in order to receive. It is about recognizing that generosity is a fundamental expression of who you are, and that when you honor it fully, you align yourself with one of the most powerful forces in the universe. The insight is simple but profound. Give more of what only you can give. Not money necessarily, not time you do not have, but your unique perspective, your honest feedback, your willingness to see people as they really are, and to reflect that truth back to them with kindness. These are gifts that cost you nothing but are worth everything to the people who receive them. And this year, as you practice this kind of intentional generosity, you will notice that the emptiness some people feel as they age simply does not apply to you. Because a life of genuine giving is a life that is always full. Insight 10. The 10th and final insight is perhaps the one that ties all the others together. You are exactly where you need to be. Not in a passive, accepting of everything way, but in the deep spiritual sense that every step you have taken, every choice you have made, every lesson you have learned has brought you to this precise moment for a reason. An Aquarius often struggles with this idea because your mind is always reaching forward, always imagining what could be different, what could be improved, what is not yet realized. And that reaching is valuable, but it can also prevent you from recognizing the perfection of the present moment, the extraordinary nature of simply being here, alive, aware, and still growing. This year is asking you to balance your natural forward orientation with a deeper appreciation of where you already stand. You have survived things that could have broken you. You have created things that have touched lives you will never know about. You have maintained your authenticity in a world that constantly pressures people to conform. And you have done all of this while continuing to learn, to question, to evolve. That is not an ordinary achievement. That is the result of decades of spiritual courage, lived out day by day, decision by decision, moment by moment. And it deserves to be acknowledged, not with arrogance but with gratitude. The insight is this: you do not need to reach some future state of perfection in order to be worthy of your own respect. You are worthy now. You have been worthy all along. And the sooner you allow that truth to settle into your heart, the more freely you will be able to move into whatever comes next. These 10 insights are not just ideas to think about. They are invitations to live differently starting now. Each one carries a specific energy that is aligned with where Aquarius stands at this point in time, and together they form a map for a year that could be genuinely transformative. Not because something magical is going to happen to you, but because you have the awareness and the willingness to make it happen from within. You have spent a lifetime accumulating the wisdom that these insights are pointing toward. Now is the time to activate that wisdom, to stop waiting for the perfect moment and to recognize that this moment, right here, right now, is exactly perfect enough. Your year does not have to look like anyone else's. Your path does not have to follow any prescribed template. All it has to do is be authentically yours, guided by the insights that your own experience has been quietly teaching you all along. Trust what you know. Trust who you are. And trust that the year ahead is ready to meet you with everything you need. You have two options after this video: close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.